natural talent that made veterans look slow, a West Coast Supercross title at 19, speed that came from instinct and pure gift. He was the kind of rider you couldn't teach, couldn't replicate, couldn't ignore. And by 25, he was done. Not injured, not unlucky, done because he destroyed himself faster than any crash ever could. This is the story of motocross's most painful what if. Jason Lawrence, J-Law, the fastest waste of talent the sport has ever seen. Let's rewind to when he looked unstoppable. Jason Lawrence was not built in a gym or a practice track, he was born with it. The kids who grow up racing know the difference. Some riders learn speed, and some riders just are speed. J-Law was the second kind. By the time he hit the amateur ranks, everyone in motocross knew his name. Not because he worked harder, because he didn't have to. If you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. Hit subscribe and stay in the gate with us for the next breakdown. Back to the video. Growing up racing on the East Coast amateur circuit, Jason was that kid, the one who'd roll up to Loretta Lynn's and make it look like a practice session while everyone else was white-knuckling their way through motos. He just rode, fast, loose, committed, in ways that looked insane but somehow worked. When other kids were studying lines, Jason was finding lines no one else saw or had the guts to take. He'd show up, pin it, and embarrass kids who'd been drilling starts and cornering lines all week. His style was raw, explosive, and aggressive in ways that made you nervous just watching. The kind of rider who made teams salivate because you can't coach what he had. You either have that switch in your brain or you don't. Jason had it wired wide open, and it was not just about speed, it was presence. Jason had that rock star energy even as a teenager, confidence that bordered on arrogance, a swagger that said he knew he was the fastest guy on the gate. Fans loved it. Competitors hated it. Teams saw dollar signs. By the mid-2000s, factory teams were lining up. Everyone saw the future. American motocross needed the next superstar, and Jason Lawrence looked like the guy. Fast, charismatic, unafraid of anyone. He had the talent to be a multi-time champion. The kind of rider who could define an era. The kind of rider who could sell bikes, pack stadiums, and dominate for a decade. But that same fire, the one that made him fearless on the bike, was already burning everything else down. Because off the bike, Jason Lawrence was chaos. The fights started early, full-on brawls with other riders, disrespect toward team managers, an attitude that didn't bend for anyone. In a sport where politics matter, where sponsors demand professionalism, where team structure is everything, Jason was a hand grenade. He became the bad boy of motocross. Not the cool kind, the kind that shows up to the track after a night of partying. The kind that fights in the pits. The kind that makes sponsors nervous and teammates uncomfortable. Stories started circulating. The partying was constant. The attitude was self-destruction dressed up as rebellion. Jason Lawrence treated motocross like it owed him something, and when it didn't deliver, he burned bridges. Motocross is a tight community, and word travels fast. Teams knew he was trouble, but they also knew he was fast. So they took the risk. They figured the talent was worth the headache. They figured they could contain him, manage him, guide him into the champion he was supposed to be. It wasn't. But here's the tragedy. Every time he touched the bike, he was brilliant. West Coast Supercross lights. Jason Lawrence, riding for Honda, goes on an absolute tear. Dominates the field, looks untouchable. Fast, confident, aggressive, everything a championship rider should be. He's not just winning, he's making it look easy. Passing guys in sections where passes shouldn't happen. Holding lines that shouldn't work. Riding with the kind of controlled chaos that only the truly gifted can pull off. He wins the title at 19 years old, and for a moment, it looks like he's figured it out. Like the talent is finally matching the discipline. Like maybe Jason Lawrence is about to become the next big thing in American motocross. Then came Daytona, March 7, 2009, his first 450 Supercross race. Daytona is the test, the gnarliest track on the Supercross calendar, part stadium, part motocross, part survival. It chews up veterans and spits out rookies. Jason Lawrence had never raced a 450 Supercross main event in his life. He was jumping straight into the premier class against legends, champions, guys who'd been battling at this level for years. Jason went out and finished second, behind only Chad Reed, ahead of Villapoto, ahead of Stewart, ahead of Wyndham. In his first ever 450 Supercross race, Jason Lawrence put it on the box and reminded everyone why they believed in him. He rode like he'd been doing this for years. Aggressive, committed, fast. Just pure talent on full display. The announcers were losing their minds. The fans were stunned. This was supposed to be a learning experience, a race to gain experience. Instead, Jason nearly won the thing. It was the kind of debut that launches careers. The kind of performance that gets replayed in highlight reels for decades. The kind of moment that should have been the beginning of something legendary. It wasn't. That moment didn't last. In scattered flashes through years of chaos, he'd show up after weeks of silence, after rumors and suspensions and drama, and ride like none of it mattered. But consistency never came. The problem was the if. For every moment of genius, 10 moments of chaos dragged him back down. Arrests, drug problems. Jason Lawrence was not losing to Dungey or Villopoto or Stewart. He was losing to himself. The arrests piled up, DUIs, assault charges, probation violations, each one another nail in the coffin of his career. Teams tried, they gave him multiple chances, more chances than most riders get, but every time, the same pattern. Flash of brilliance, then chaos, then gone. Contracts ended, opportunities dried up, the industry gave up. Yamaha dropped him. Other teams picked him up, hoping they'd be the ones to fix him. They weren't. Sponsors pulled out, the phone stopped ringing, and the saddest part, the talent never left. Jason Lawrence at 24 was still faster than 95% of the professional field. But speed doesn't matter if no one will hire you. And here's the part that makes this story hurt. Jason knew. He knew he was throwing it away. In interviews, you'd see glimpses of self-awareness. Moments where he'd admit he screwed up, that he needed to change. He'd talk about wanting to get his life together, wanting to prove people wrong, wanting to show what he could really do. But knowing and doing are different things. The addiction took over, not just to substances, to the lifestyle, to the chaos, to living on the edge in every aspect of life. Jason Lawrence couldn't separate the throttle wide open mentality from the rest of his existence. By his mid-20s, Jason Lawrence was done at the top level. Motocross moves fast. New talent comes in every year. Kids who are hungry, disciplined, drama-free, teams need reliability, sponsors need professionalism, and fans need heroes they can root for without cringing at the headlines. Jason Lawrence gave them none of that. He gave them speed wrapped in disaster, and eventually, the sport had no choice but to let him go. So why does Jason Lawrence still matter? Because in motocross, we talk about wasted talent all the time. Injuries, bad luck, wrong teams, guys who had the speed but never caught the break. But Jason Lawrence is different. He's the most painful kind of waste, the self-inflicted kind. He had everything required to be one of the greatest American riders ever. The speed, the aggression, the natural ability that only a handful of people on Earth possess. Not with one mistake, with 1,000. Not because he didn't care about racing, because he cared about everything else just as much. And those things killed his career faster than any crash ever could. Watch old footage of Jason Lawrence at his peak and you'll see why this story stings. The way he attacked sections. The way he rode like the track owed him something. The way he made it look easy when everyone else was fighting for tenths. He had it. That indefinable thing that separates good from great, fast from legendary, and he threw it away. Jason Lawrence is the cautionary tale. The reminder that talent alone isn't enough. That you can be the fastest guy in the world and still lose if you can't control the chaos inside you. That motocross doesn't care how gifted you are if you can't show up, stay clean, and do the work. He's the legend of wasted talent. Not because he couldn't win, because he did win and still lost everything. He didn't get beaten by the competition, he got beaten by the life he chose. If Jason Lawrence is the cautionary tale of motocross, James Stewart is the opposite. A rider who took all the talent in the world and pushed it further than anyone thought humanly possible. So if you want to see what happens when raw speed does meet discipline, when a rider rewrites physics every time he hits the track, watch this next. The fastest man motocross ever saw, James Stewart explained. Click it and witness the story of the one man J-Law could never outrun.